The text came in at 6:42 a.m. No good morning. No warning. Just one sentence. You won't be joining us. My wife prefers to keep it only her family. I stared at my phone half asleep, thinking I'd misunderstood. Then I saw the last line. Sent from my son. And the worst part. I had already paid for the entire vacation. Flights, hotel, rental car. Every single detail. My credit card. Name. And suddenly, I wasn't family anymore. Before we go any further, take a second to like, comment and subscribe. Because stories like this remind you of one hard truth. Sometimes the people who benefit the most from your generosity are the first ones to erase you. My name is Linda Harris. I'm 58 years old, divorced, quiet life. And until that morning, I thought I had a good relationship with my son. His name is Ethan. He's 32, married, successful at least on the outside. We used to talk every Sunday. Short calls, nothing deep, but enough for me to believe I still mattered. The vacation was my idea. A week in Maui. Ethan, his wife Rachel, their 2 kids. I hadn't seen my grandkids in almost a year. Rachel always had a reason. Too busy, too tired, too complicated. So when Ethan mentioned they were thinking about a family trip, I offered to help. Actually, I offered to pay. I told myself it was a gift. What I didn't realize was that gifts come with expiration dates. I booked everything. Ocean View Resort, direct flights, private excursions. Rachel texted once. Thanks, Linda. This is generous. No smiley face. No warmth. Just words. I ignored the chill. I always did. Then came the text. You won't be joining us. No explanation. No discussion. Just a decision. Called Ethan immediately. Straight to voicemail. Called again. Nothing. Finally he picked up. Mom, he sighed like I was interrupting something important. What does this mean? I asked, holding the phone so tight my hand hurt. Silence. Rachel feels more comfortable if it's just her family. Her family. Not our family. Not me. But I'm paying for it, I said, my voice barely steady. I know, he replied quickly. And we appreciate it. This isn't personal. That sentence. That one broke something in me. I hung up and sat there. Kitchen table. Cold coffee. Morning light through the window. I thought about every time I babysat. Every birthday gift. Every check I wrote without being asked. And how easy it was for them to uninvite me from my own generosity. That's when I opened my laptop, logged into my travel account, and realized something important. Every reservation was under my name. Every payment authorization was mine. I hovered my cursor over the button. Manage booking. I hadn't decided yet, but for the first time in years, I stopped asking how to keep the peace and started asking a different question. Why was I paying to be disrespected? That night, Ethan called again. Different tone. Nervous. Hey, Mom. Quick question. I didn't answer. He continued anyway. You didn't change anything with the trip, right? I looked at the screen. And for the first time, I didn't rush to reassure him. I let the phone ring 3 times before answering. Did you change anything? Ethan asked again, his voice tighter now. I leaned back in my chair and stared at the ceiling. Why would I? I said calmly. Silence. Then a breath. Because now he was doing the math. Mom, he said slowly. Everything's in your name. Yes, I replied. It is. Another pause. And then the truth slipped out the way it always does when people panic. Rachel's parents already took time off work, he said. The kids are excited. I didn't miss the detail. He didn't say we're excited. He didn't say you're excited. Just logistics. I wasn't invited, I reminded him. He sighed. You're making this a bigger deal than it needs to be. That was the moment. The exact moment I stopped feeling guilty. I opened my laptop while we were still on the call. Ethan, I said. You told me not to come. Yes, but. So I won't, I said. I'm respecting the boundary. His voice sharpened. What does that mean? Clicked once. The flight disappeared. Another click. The hotel reservation changed status. Cancelled. What are you doing? He asked, panic rising. I'm freezing the travel, I said evenly. All of it. You can't do that. I can, I replied. I paid for it. He started talking fast. Mom, Rachel didn't mean it like that. She just wants time with her parents. That's fine, I said. They can pay for it. He raised his voice. You're embarrassing us. I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because it was familiar. You embarrassed me first, I said. You just didn't expect consequences. The line went dead. 10 minutes later my phone exploded. Text. Unknown numbers. Rachel. Her mother. Her sister. Everyone suddenly remembered I existed. Rachel's message was short. This is extremely petty. I stared at it. Then typed back. So was uninviting me. She didn't reply. That night I couldn't sleep. Not from guilt. From clarity. I realized how often I'd been treated like a wallet with a pulse. How long I'd accepted it just to stay included. At 2:13 a.m., Ethan sent another message. Can we talk in the morning? I didn't answer. For the first time in his life. He was the one waiting. The next day, Ethan showed up at my door. Unannounced. Rachel wasn't with him. That told me everything. He looked tired. Stressed. Like someone who'd just discovered that favors aren't permanent. Mom, he said quietly. We need to fix this. I folded my arms. Fix what? Asked. The trip, he said. The family situation. I stepped aside and let him in. We sat down. And that's when he finally said the sentence he'd been avoiding. Rachel doesn't like you. There it was. Out in the open. Finally. He nodded. I know, I said. The question is, why did you let that become my problem? Ethan didn't have an answer. Not yet. But he was about to hear one. Because I was done freezing travel plans. Now it was time to freeze something else. Ethan rubbed his face with both hands, like he was trying to wake himself up. I'm stuck in the middle, he said. That sentence. People say it when they want sympathy. Without taking responsibility. No, I replied. You put yourself in the middle. Then you asked me to disappear so it would be easier. He looked up at me, eyes red. That's not fair. He nodded. You're right. It's not. Silence stretched between us. Then he said it, soft, almost embarrassed. Rachel thinks you use money to control us. I felt that one land. Not because it was true, but because it explained everything. I stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the street looked exactly the same as it always had. Quiet. Ordinary. Inside, something had shifted. If I wanted to control you, I said, I wouldn't have waited until I was excluded to speak up. Ethan didn't argue. 'Cause he knew. That afternoon Rachel called. Not texted. I let it ring. Then answered. Linda, she said, using my name like it was a chore. We need to clear the air. I agree, I said. Go ahead. She didn't waste time. You overreacted, she said. This trip was meant to be intimate. With me paying for it, I replied. That was your choice, she shot back. No one forced you. I smiled to myself. That's true, I said. And canceling it was also my choice. Her voice hardened. You're punishing the kids. No, I said calmly. I'm teaching the adults. She went quiet. Then came the real reason. My parents can't afford something like this, she admitted. You embarrassed them. There it was. Not about family. About pride. So you erased me instead, I said. She exhaled sharply. I didn't think you'd take it this far. I didn't think my son would uninvite me from my own generosity, I replied. We ended the call without apologies. But with something else. Understanding. That evening Ethan texted. Rachel wants to apologize. I stared at the message. Then typed back. I don't want apologies. I want boundaries. He didn't respond right away. Because boundaries scare people who benefit from you having none. A week passed. No trip. No calls. Just quiet. Then I got a message from Rachel's mother. We didn't know you weren't coming. I read it twice. Then once more. Because suddenly, the story I'd been told didn't match the truth. I replied. I was uninvited after paying for everything. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. That's not what we were told. My chest tightened. Because now it wasn't just disrespect. It was deception. That night Ethan came back. Different energy. Less defensive. More ashamed. They think you chose not to come, he said quietly. He nodded. I know. He swallowed hard. Rachel said it was easier that way. Easier. That word again. Ethan, I said. How long have you been letting things be easier at my expense? He didn't answer. 'Cause deep down, he knew this wasn't about a vacation anymore. It was about who I was allowed to be in his life. And I had already decided something. If I was only welcome when I paid, then I wasn't really welcome at all. The family meeting wasn't planned. It never is when the truth finally shows up. Rachel's parents invited Ethan and me over for dinner that Sunday. Just to talk, they said. Those words always mean one thing. Everything is about to come out. Rachel sat stiff at the table, arms crossed. Her mother kept glancing between us. Her father cleared his throat. So, he said, forcing a smile, we were surprised when the Hawaii trip fell apart. I looked at Rachel. She didn't meet my eyes. I was uninvited, I said simply. After I paid for everything. The room went silent. Rachel's mother frowned. Uninvited. Rachel jumped in. That's not what happened. I didn't argue. I let her talk. Because lies collapse when they get too loud. She decided not to come, Rachel continued. Then she cancelled everything out of spite. Her father turned to me. Is that true? I folded my hands on the table. I was told, I said, choosing every word carefully. You won't be joining us. My wife prefers to keep it only her family. I watched their faces change. Slowly. Rachel's mother inhaled sharply. Her father leaned back in his chair. Ethan stared at his plate. Rachel's mother spoke first. Rachel, she said quietly. Did you say that? Rachel's jaw tightened. I just wanted time with my parents, she said. Linda always inserts herself. I felt that sting. But I didn't interrupt. I'd done enough interrupting in my life. And the money, her father asked. Rachel shrugged. Linda offered. That word again. Offered. As if generosity cancels out respect. Her mother turned to me. Why didn't you tell us? She asked softly. I smiled tired. Because I was taught not to make things uncomfortable. Rachel shifted. Uncomfortable. This was that. Then her father said something that changed the room. If someone pays for a family trip, he said, they are family on that trip. Rachel looked shocked. But, no, he cut in. You don't erase someone because it's convenient. Ethan finally looked up. For the first time since this started. He looked like a son again. Not a mediator. Not a bystander. Son. Rachel stood up. I can't believe you're taking her side, she snapped. Her mother responded calmly. There aren't sides. There's right and wrong. Rachel grabbed her purse and walked out. The door slammed. And suddenly the tension lifted. After dinner, Ethan stayed behind. I didn't think it would go this far, he said quietly. He nodded. That's because you never imagined I'd stop absorbing it. He looked at me, eyes glassy. I'm sorry, he said. Not perfect, but real. That night, I drove home feeling something unfamiliar. Not because everything was fixed, but because the truth was finally spoken, without me apologizing for it. And the next morning something unexpected happened. Rachel sent a message. Not to argue, not to defend, but to ask for something she'd never offered before. Conversation. Rachel asked to meet alone. No Ethan. No parents. Just the two of us. Almost said no. Then I realized something. If I walked away now, she'd keep the story. So I agreed. We met at a quiet cafe halfway between our houses. Neutral ground. Rachel arrived 10 minutes late. Sat down. Didn't order anything. I didn't mean to hurt you, she said quickly, like she was checking a box. Waited. Silence makes people reveal more than words. She sighed. I felt crowded. I nodded slowly. By me. By what you represent, she said. Support. Backup. Influence. There it was. Not hate. Fear. I grew up handling things myself, she continued. Your help makes me feel small. I leaned forward. Then say no, I said. Don't erase me after accepting it. Her eyes flicked up. She hadn't expected that. She stirred her coffee even though she hadn't ordered one. I didn't think you'd cancel, she admitted. That's the problem, I replied. You didn't think about me at all. She looked away. I need to know something, I said. Do you want me in your family? Or just around it? Rachel swallowed. I don't know, she said honestly. I appreciated that more than any apology. Then here's what I need, I said calmly. Her head snapped up. From now on, I don't pay to prove my place. I don't beg for inclusion. And I don't accept invitations that come with conditions. She frowned. That sounds like punishment. It's not, I said. It's protection. He sat back. You've changed, she said. Smiled. No, I replied. I stopped pretending. When I stood to leave, she finally said it. I'm sorry. Not perfect. Not complete. But real. He nodded. That was enough. Now. Later that night, Ethan called. She told me everything, he said quietly. And, yes, I should have protected you, he said. I didn't. Closed my eyes. I don't need protection, I said. I need respect. I know, he replied. A few weeks later, an email came through. New vacation plans. Different destination. Different setup. Everyone paying their own way. The bottom one line stood out. We'd love for you to come, no pressure. I stared at it. And smiled. Because the biggest shift wasn't the cancelled trip. It was this. They finally understood. I wasn't a wallet. I was a person. The weeks after that conversation were different. Not warm. Not cold. Careful. Every text from Ethan felt measured. Every message from Rachel came with space around it, like she was afraid to step too close. And honestly, I preferred it that way. The first real test came on a Tuesday afternoon. Ethan called. Mom, he said hesitant. The kids keep asking why they haven't seen you. That one hit deep. 'Cause no matter how strong you are, grandkids will always find the soft spot. I miss them, I said. But I won't force my way into their lives. He was quiet for a moment. Then, would you like to come over this weekend? No conditions. No guilt. Just an invitation. Said yes. When I arrived, the kids ran to the door. Hugs. Laughter. Pure. Rachel stood back watching. Not hostile. Just observing. I didn't bring gifts. No money. Just myself. And I noticed something important. Nothing fell apart. Later, Rachel sat beside me on the couch. Thank you for coming, she said softly. He nodded. Thank you for inviting me, I replied. It was small, but real. That night, Ethan walked me to my car. I didn't realize how much we leaned on you, he said. Financially. Emotionally. I looked at him. That's not a sin, I said. Taking without gratitude is. He nodded. A month later, another situation came up. School tuition. Not asked directly. Just mentioned. Casually. I didn't offer. Waited. And for the first time, no one hinted. No one pushed. They figured it out. Something shifted after that. Rachel stopped seeing me as a resource. And started seeing me as a presence. And I stopped proving my worth with sacrifice. One evening, Rachel asked me something unexpected. How did you know when to stop? She asked. Thought about it. When it started costing me my dignity, I said. She looked down. I don't want my kids to learn that kind of love, she whispered. Neither did I. Not everything was fixed. But it was balanced. Until one final moment forced everyone to show who they'd really become. Because respect is easy when things are calm. But when pressure comes back, that's when you see if change is real. The final test didn't come loudly. Slipped in quietly, like it always does. Ethan called one evening, voice low. Mom, we're in a bit of a bind. I didn't respond right away. Waited. Because I'd learned the difference between sharing and asking. The car broke down, he continued. Transmission. It's bad. I nodded even though he couldn't see me. I'm sorry, I said. Silence. Then he added carefully. We're figuring it out. There it was. No expectation. No pressure. Just honesty. And that mattered more than the problem itself. A week passed. They figured it out. Loan. Budget cuts. No emergency call to me. And I felt something unexpected. Pride. Then came the moment that told me everything. Rachel invited me to lunch. Just me. No agenda. Halfway through she said, I used to think love was about control, or independence. She looked up. Now I think it's about allowing people to show up without strings. Smiled. That's exactly it, I said. A few months later, the kids had a school event. They saved me a seat. Front row. Not because I paid. 'Cause I belonged. On the drive home that night, Ethan called. Thank you, he said. For what? Asked. For not walking away, he replied. Pause. I didn't stay for you, I said gently. I stayed because I finally knew how to stay without losing myself. He was quiet. I'm learning, he said. That was the ending. Not fireworks. Not revenge. Just growth. And boundaries. And a family that finally understood something important. Love that costs your dignity isn't love. And generosity without respect isn't generosity. If this story resonated with you, comment, subscribe. Because sometimes the strongest thing you can do is stop paying for a place you already deserve. The quiet didn't last. Never does. Because when people change, the past doesn't disappear quietly. Comes back to test them. One evening I got a call from an unfamiliar number. I almost ignored it. Something told me not to. Hello, said. Linda. A woman's voice asked. Yes. This is Marianne. Ethan's ex. I sat up straighter. I hadn't heard that name in years. I didn't know who else to call, she continued. But I think you deserve to know something. My stomach tightened. Know what? Asked. She hesitated. Then said the sentence that reopened a door I thought had been sealed shut. Rachel didn't just feel crowded by you, she said. She was afraid of you. Closed my eyes. Afraid how? Because Ethan listens to you, Marianne said. Always has. And she knew it. Silence wrapped around me. Not surprise. Recognition. She told people you were controlling, Marianne added. That you used money to keep your place. I laughed softly. Not amused. Just tired. So she erased me first, I said. Yes, Marianne replied. Before you could remind Ethan who you really were. After we hung up, I sat there for a long time. Not angry. Clear. 'Cause now I understood something important. The vacation wasn't the problem. It was the symptom. That night Ethan called. Mom, he said uneasy. Rachel's been upset all day. About what? Asked. She feels judged. Took a breath. By whom? By you, he said. I smiled sadly. I haven't judged her, I replied. I just stopped disappearing. Then he said something that told me everything. She's scared you'll pull away again. I nodded slowly. Then she should be, I said. Because I won't stay where I'm only tolerated. And that's when Ethan finally said it. The sentence he'd avoided for years. I should have chosen better, he whispered. I didn't answer right away. Because sometimes silence is the most honest response. This wasn't about choosing sides. It was about choosing integrity. And the next decision Ethan made would decide the future of all of us. Ethan didn't sleep that night. I know because he called me at 3:17 a.m. Not crying. Not angry. Just empty. "Mom," he said quietly, "can I ask you something without you fixing it?" Closed my eyes. "Yes," I said. "Just ask." How do you know when you've outgrown the version of yourself that keeps everyone else comfortable? That question told me everything. I didn't know, I said honestly. I just woke up one day and realized I was exhausted. He exhaled slowly. "I think I've been choosing the quietest path for too long." "That's not peace," I replied. "That's avoidance." Silence. Then, "I'm afraid of losing my family." I chose my words carefully. "You're not losing anyone by becoming honest," I said. "You only lose people when they can't control you anymore." The next week, Rachel stopped pretending everything was fine. She grew distant. Dark. Every conversation felt like a test. And Ethan finally saw it. Not because I pointed it out, but because he stopped defending it. One evening he came over alone. No warning. No script. "I need to tell you something," he said. Waited. "I told Rachel we need counseling," he said. "And that I'm done excluding you." He nodded. "And?" "She said I'm choosing you over her." There it was. The line people use when they're afraid of balance. "What did you say?" "Yes." He swallowed. "I said I'm choosing myself." I felt tears sting my eyes. Not because of drama, but because growth is quiet. Rachel didn't call for days. Then weeks. The kids still came over. Rachel stayed back. First. Then one day. He showed up. Different energy. Less armor. "I don't want to raise my kids like this," she said quietly. "Afraid of being replaced." Leaned back. "Then don't," I said. "No one is competing with you." She nodded slowly. That night, Ethan said something I'll never forget. "I finally see how much of yourself you swallowed just to keep me close." I smiled sadly. "I thought that was love," I said. "And now?" he asked. "Now I know love doesn't ask you to disappear. Change doesn't come in one big moment. Comes in 100 small choices. And the next one would be the hardest yet." The ultimatum came on a Sunday morning. Quiet. Calculated. Rachel waited until the kids were out of the house. Then she said it. "I can't live like this," she told Ethan. "Your mother will always come first." Ethan didn't raise his voice. Didn't defend. Didn't explode. He just asked one question. "Why does my mother existing feel like a threat to you?" Rachel didn't answer. Because some questions expose fears people don't want to name. She paced the living room. "You're changing," she said. "You used to agree with me." Ethan nodded. "I used to avoid conflict," he replied. "Now I'm learning the difference." That scared her. Change always does. Later that day, Ethan came to my house. Sat across from me. Hands shaking. "She gave me an ultimatum," he said. I didn't ask what it was. Already knew. "She says either we set hard boundaries with you, or she doesn't know if this marriage survives." I took a slow breath. Then I said the one thing he didn't expect. "Do not choose me." He looked up sharply. "What?" "This isn't a competition," I said. "If you choose me over your wife, you'll resent me. And she'll never feel safe." "So what do I do?" he asked. "You choose truth," I replied. "And let the consequences land where they land." That night, Ethan went home and did something new. He didn't argue. He didn't negotiate. He stated facts. "I will not cut my mother out of my life," he said. "I will not hide her to keep you comfortable. And I will not use money or silence as weapons." Rachel cried. Not strategically. Honestly. Because the ground under her shifted. "I'm scared," she admitted. "Then let's work on that," Ethan replied. "Not punish my mother for it." Silence filled the room. Heavy. Clean. Days passed. Counseling started. Hard conversations followed. Some days felt hopeful, others felt fragile, and I stayed exactly where I needed to be, present, but not interfering. Then came the moment that told me whether this family would survive. Rachel called me. Directly. No buffer. No tone. Just words. "Can we talk?" she asked. I smiled softly. "Yes," I said. Because this time, the conversation wasn't about control. It was about accountability. Rachel came over on a rainy Thursday afternoon. No makeup. No armor. Just her. She stood at my doorway for a moment like she might turn around. Then she stepped in. "I owe you the truth," she said. I didn't offer tea. Didn't sit her down. Just listened. Because some truths don't need comfort. They need space. "My father left when I was 13, she began. "Another woman. Another family." I stayed quiet. "He chose them," she continued. "And my mother never recovered." Her voice cracked. "She taught me that women compete. That love is something you lose if you're not careful." I exhaled slowly. "That explained a lot. When I married Ethan," she said, "you felt like proof that I could be replaced." He nodded. "I wasn't competing with you," I said gently. "I was surviving my own fears once." She looked at me sharply. "What do you mean?" "I spent years disappearing so my son wouldn't choose someone else over me," I said. "It nearly destroyed me." Rachel's eyes filled. For the first time, she saw me. Not as a threat. As a mirror. "I didn't mean to hurt you," she whispered. "I know," I said. "But intent doesn't erase impact." She nodded. "I don't want my children to learn love like this," she said. "Then unlearn it," I replied. We sat in silence for a long time. Then she said something I didn't expect. "I was wrong about the trip," she said. "I used your generosity and then erased you." I felt something loosen in my chest. Not forgiveness. Relief. "I don't need you to like me," I said. "But I need honesty if we're going to be in each other's lives." She nodded again. "You'll have it," she said. When she left, the rain had stopped. That night, Ethan called. "She told me everything," he said. "And?" asked. "She asked me to stop hiding behind her fear," he said. Smiled. "That's growth," I said. "Families don't heal in one moment. They heal in layers." And the final layer was still waiting. The final moment didn't come with drama. No raised voices. No slammed doors. Just a quiet decision. Months passed. Counseling continued. Boundaries held. Not perfectly, but honestly. Rachel stopped checking where I stood. Ethan stopped apologizing for my existence. And I stopped shrinking to make room. One afternoon, I received a handwritten letter. From Rachel. Not a text. Not a call. Paper. Effort. She wrote about learning how fear disguises itself as control. About how love isn't something you guard like property. About how watching me step back without disappearing changed something in her. The bottom one line stood out. "Thank you for teaching me that presence doesn't require permission." I folded the letter and cried. Not from pain. From release. The kids came over that weekend. They asked if I'd come to their school play. Not if I could. If I would. I sat front row. Again. Later that night, Ethan hugged me longer than usual. "I finally understand something," he said. "What?" I asked. "Love that demands silence isn't love," he replied. Smiled. Rachel stood nearby. Watching. Not threatened. Just present. She caught my eye. And nodded. Not asking. Acknowledging. I thought back to the text that started everything. "You won't be joining us." Funny how one sentence ended one version of my life. And created a better one. Because here's the truth. Sometimes losing a seat at the table is the only way to build your own. And when you stop paying for belonging, you finally earn respect. If this story spoke to you, comment, subscribe, and remember, you don't have to disappear to be loved.